Hi, my name is Cy Porter, and this is another creative writing tutorial. And the reason I make them is to get the word out about my illustrated film work at solomation.com. Today's topic is character introduction. So, this is um, having to do with a larger topic, which is why do we try to imitate real life in fiction? And one important reason is that as a storyteller, what you want to do in a sense is hypnotize your reader. What you want to do is put them under your spell. Not exactly. I don't mean, to literally hypnotize them, but you want them to forget that they're reading or watching your film or however they're getting your story, and to be in the story, to to become the protagonist, to feel like they're there. And the greatest way you can do that is to imitate real life. To the extent that your work of fiction is being received by them the way they receive their real life, that's to the extent that they're going to get lost in your story, and it's going to have leave the greatest impression on them. So, one of the most difficult things about writing fiction is conveying characters, and this is where a lot of the technical problems occur, and you can get into the difficult writing when all you want to do is tell your story. You have a great story, you want to tell your story, and you have great characters, and you want to convey them, and all of a sudden it can become very difficult. So let's look at how you get to know people in real life. Um, when you meet someone for the first time, they don't hand you a resume. They don't give you a bullet list of what they're all about. What happens is you have your first impression, which is very important in real life and is also very important in fiction. And then after that, from then on, that person in real life will surprise you and make you readjust your definition of who they are. So what happens with the first impression? When in real life, when you first meet someone, we as humans will create in our mind a complete idea about who that person is. And this is just a psychological reality that many times can lead to problems in real life. But what happens is we don't like, when we first meet someone, we don't stick with the few things that we learn about them. The first few things we learn about them, we go ahead and use to create, as complete a picture of who we think they are as possible. And from then on, as they slowly reveal who they really are through, a few sentences here and there, a few acts here and there, from then on, we are continually subconsciously surprised at who they really are and continually adjust that first initial idea, that first initial concept we have about who they are. So think of it as a game that you're playing with your reader. The game is, it's kind of, do you know that game Battleship, where two people are, they can't see the board of their opponent, and it's a game of finding out what's going on with the other player over time. So what you're doing is you have a very clear idea about who this fictional character is, and it's just over time. You're not like dropping hints, but it's very much like that. You're you're letting the reader receive these insights and small revelations about who that character really is.
I hope my tutorials are useful to you. I post them to get the word out about a story I'm working on at solomation.com. I post free episodes of my illustrated story, so if you have a few minutes, please check it out. Thank you, and I hope your next writing session is a good one.
So it would be worthwhile to you as a writer to think about some of the people in your life and who you thought they were when you first met them, and how they surprised you over time, and how who you think they are now can be completely different than who you thought they first were. So, first impression. Let's look at the superficial. The superficial is what is on the surface. That is what we first see. So the superficial aspects of a character would be their name. If you get their name, I described this in some earlier tutorials. How they look. Their race, gender. Are they skinny, fat, in a wheelchair, 7 foot tall? How do they dress? I mean, are they sloppy? Are they anal retentive about how they dress? Are they, they're, these are the things that we first see. And then when they speak, what kind of accent do they have? Not just obvious accents, but the way they speak can reveal how educated they are. And then there are different reasons for the way people speak differently, and it's superficial, but it does get a little bit more to the heart of who the character is. It might be worthwhile to look at the story Pygmalion, which really gets into how people are recognized by the way they speak. And these are all kind of your first impression things. When you're starting the story and introducing a new character, these are the things you want to put in there, because you want to present to the reader what that person would see of a real person in real life for the first time. So, think about when you're getting to know someone in real life. Think about the information that you are receiving. When you see him walk down the street, you're receiving visual information. You're receiving, okay, them from because they work here. Think about the kinds of information you receive from real individuals in real life, and present that in the same timing as you would present that in your fiction. So, in your fiction, if you introduce a character and divulge all these personal, backstory, history, and everything like that, it may be very interesting, but it doesn't feel real, because that isn't the way that we get to know people in real life. And I'm not saying that you need to be in your fiction, you don't need to be a realist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there is great potential in imitating real life in fiction. Okay, I want to wrap this up real quick. I just to say real quickly, as a um, the if you like these tutorials, the biggest favor you could do for me is just go and see some of my artwork at solomation.com. So now the last point I'd like to make is this idea of the transforming character. And the where this character in the course of your story, the character himself does not transform, but our understanding of that character changes. So at the beginning of the story, someone could come across as really frivolous and silly and gawky and whatever, but then over time you through the course of the story, their real mettle is tested, and you start to realize, oh, they may present themselves as gawky and silly, but actually they're really shrewd, and they could be, sneaky, or they could be very self-sacrificing, and these are things that are revealed over time, so that character at the beginning of the story, silly, gawky, they want to, for one reason or another, they want to present themselves that way. End of the story, self-sacrificing, and shrewd in business. So something like self-sacrificing is not going to be something that you're going to find out right away, but through their actions and through the course of the story, their real mettle is tested. So the whole way through, they could continue to present themselves as uncaring or whatever, but through what they actually do, our ideas about that character are drastically changed. And that's a very effective thing to do in the story. So I hope your writing goes really good, and have a good day.